Definitely. I can guarantee it's the craziest, wildest, most insane and wonderful episode.
That's Cap, James. This wasn't the most insane and wonderful episode of Peacemaker you've made. You got a little clickbaity by the end of this, man. Welcome, my name is Zach, and this officially licensed piece of DC merch is Eagly. Say hi to the people, Eagly. Come on in, you guys. We have so much to talk about. Grab yourself a drink. If this is your first time to the Super Reel, welcome. We have so much to talk about. Let's break down the episode first, and then we'll get into the harsh truth. This episode starts 1 month ago. Chris and Harcourt are on a date at Big Belly Burger. That's hype. Chris gets a little cringe in public, and that's before the shots. But Harcourt's here for it. She's having a good time. They leave Big Belly and go for a walk. Harcourt tells Chris that he needs to treat Adrian better, and I agree. We will discuss that at length in the review portion. Harcourt admits she's glad she came out, and then Chris spots one of his favorite bands playing on a boat and takes Harcourt to go see. We jump to present day, and Chris is in jail taking no visitors, and we see Argus is finally in the QUC. Flurry tells an embarrassing story about Cupid on their way to the first unlocked door, and inside we find a world made of candy cane and gingerbread. How wonderful. It's inhabited by tiny creatures who seem cute at first, but of course they don't have a sweet tooth. They hunger for human flesh. We lost Cupid that day. R.I.P. The Argus team naturally are shaken up by this, but Rick doesn't seem to care. We jump to Economos and Harcourt and Peacemaker's house, discussing how Rick Flag and Lex are all buddy now. John is searching the house, and we find out why. I never want to see this site again. Eagly suppressed because Peacemaker's locked up, but it looks like Economos has been looking out for him in the meantime. What a top lad. Next we jump to Vigilante, who's clearly going through a similar depression as Eagly. Adebayo eventually convinces him to use the blood money to bail Chris out of jail and to hire a proper attorney. Peacemaker gets out of jail, picks up Eagly, and leaves town. The gang all gets together and talk about how they're gonna get him back. Next we jump to a music montage of Argus going through more doors in the QUC. You get a real sense of the loss of life that's happening routinely. Rick Flag is going off the deep end, and he's in way too deep with Lex's crowd. I mean, they're exchanging notes like this is grade school. Finally, Argus lands in some place seemingly pleasant and looks like Earth. The music choice during this sequence was questionable, and we'll talk about that in the review. We then jump to Rick Flag giving a PowerPoint presentation about this new world they discovered, and he has an idea of using the world as a prison planet. Or it's Lex's idea. It's probably both their idea. Flag calls the planet Salvation, and ostensibly it's for meta-humans only, but we know that's Cap. But the rationale is that places like Arkham and Belle Reve can't hold metahumans. They break out every month. Bordeaux has had enough of Flag, haven't we all, and gives him the cold shoulder. She then reaches out to Harcourt to clear the air and talk about leaving Argus. She's pretty appalled that her team is dying for a prison, and rightfully so. Harcourt tells her that she needs to meet one of her friends because she has ideas. We then see Harcourt introduce Bordeaux to Ads because Ads is starting a security agency. But I don't think we ever saw a single scene of Adebayo talking to Harcourt about her security firm, but I'll talk about that more in the review. We then jump back in time for the boat scene. We get a nice Nelson concert. Chris and Harcourt start to dance. He then gives her the spin of destiny, and we get a beautiful shot of the both of them, and they share a passionate kiss. Harcourt backs off and says she's gotta go, then goes. Chris is just left there standing at the concert alone. Next we jump to Adebayo, and we see Kia for the first time since episode 2. We get a great performance by Danielle Brooks in this scene as she breaks things off with Kia. Danielle is a standout in this show. She did go to Juilliard, mind you. We jump to Economos causing a distraction so Bordeaux can track the whereabouts of Peacemaker, and I'll save my opinion about this scene until the review. Next it's intervention time, but we just gotta get Chris to sit still and listen to us. Luckily Vigilante is there, always a top lad. This scene is great and I did enjoy it. Of course it's great because Danielle Brooks and John Cena give great performances. The scene ends with them pretty much saying we want to start a team to actually help people, and we're not doing that without you, Chris. Everyone leaves his motel, and Chris calls out to Harcourt to ask her about the boat scene again and if it meant anything to her. She reluctantly says yes, it meant everything. Chris then goes back inside to celebrate. He does a little happy dance. He's definitely psyched. We then jump to a week in the future and we get another concert scene, this time from Foxy Shazam. We also see the 11th Street Kids forming their own organization funded by Vigilante's blood money. Do not ask me how they're laundering all that blood money. We see that they flipped Flurry and Judo Master to their side, and that made me very happy. James Gunn is 1000% gonna write Economos and Bordeaux being a thing. Just look at this shot and how psyched he was to find out that she wasn't dating Rick Flag.
Your boyfriend's a dickhead.
He's not my boyfriend.
He's not your boyfriend.
You can tell Flurry and Vigilante are going to be hilarious together. And this shot of Eagly accepting Economos was the best moment in the episode in my opinion. I know I'm biased, but Eagly is my favorite character. It's not a good thing that this was my favorite moment though. The music montage ends with the checkmate reveal and everyone seems happy. The episode probably should have ended here, but it didn't. We see Chris get kidnapped and thrown into the Salvation Planet, and that's where we leave Peacemaker. Oh, and the Sly Cooper grin of approval goes to Economos for taking care of Eagly and gaining his respect. So I'm going to preface this by saying saying I am a James Gunn fan. I did enjoy the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and I did enjoy Superman, and every episode of Peacemaker is good, but I would be remiss if I didn't make a longer video about the finale and point out the clear, obvious red flags and missteps. Also, I am viewing this in the lens that this is a series finale and not a season finale, because we know James Gunn has no plans on making Peacemaker season 3. And so with that in mind, I think it is objectively wrong to intentionally leave the title character on a cliffhanger in the series finale. If I were to put a friend onto this show who doesn't have HBO Max and say they're buying the seasons on Amazon, it's not a complete work. They would have to go and buy something else. Peacemaker season 2 leaves off on a cliffhanger intentionally, and that is just bad. The finale almost felt like a mid-season finale rather than a series finale, and you can definitely set up a salvation run without intentionally leaving Peacemaker on the planet. It doesn't make sense. You can definitely do both without having the series feel like it's not concluded, even while you're setting up things for the future. You can definitely do both. Major storylines are not resolved, and I was so here for the character moments, man. My wife and I, we watched every single episode of Peacemaker. We watched every single episode of the podcast. I was prepared to be in my feels. I had a couple drinks before this finale. I was prepared to cry. I was really here for these moments, and James Gunn did not deliver on those moments. We fell in love with these characters. I really like Chris, Harcourt, Vigilante, and Adebayo, and that's a testament to James Gunn. He really made me care about these characters, which is why I am so frustrated, which is why I have to voice my opinion about this, because I really do think it was mishandled. Let's start with some of these character moments, particularly with Vigilante. Okay, so America loves Vigilante. We all know this. You made him such a great character. Everyone fell in love with Vigilante. Him meeting himself broke the internet. Everyone loves Vigilante. Why can't we get a one-on-one scene between Chris and Vigilante? You made us love Chris. You made us love Vigilante. Vigilante's whole character is about worshiping Peacemaker. Why can't we get a one-on-one scene of Peacemaker like validating Vigilante's unwavering loyalty? Like viewing these seasons in a vacuum and knowing that this was a series finale, taking a step back, it's like Peacemaker was a jerk to Vigilante the entire time. Like he worships the ground you walk on, and he can't get 2 minutes of like conversation. It makes no sense. It's not fulfilling at all. Vigilante got tortured for you. He was willing to kill for you, kill cops, kill government agents for you. He's willing to go to jail for you and like try to take out your father, do all these things. He's a capable fighter. He's very useful, and he doesn't get that attaboy, especially because Harcourt told Chris, hey, you should probably treat Vigilante better. I mean, Adrian, she calls him Adrian. You should probably treat Adrian better. And he acknowledges that Adrian didn't have a good older brother, and you know, he's probably seeking, you know, another older brother figure. You know this. That flashback takes place before the events of season 2. So why is it that you're not really treating him any differently, really? It doesn't make sense for them to put that scene in there, but throughout this whole season, it's been like, you know, it's not like he's changed how he approaches Vigilante. That really annoyed me, and I was really here for a Vigilante moment, and I didn't get that. And that honestly would have saved so much of this series finale if I got that moment. That's how much I really care about that Vigilante character in their relationship. Moving on to Harcourt and Chris. How are they not a couple right now? That would have been enough for me too. How are they not a couple? We see them at the end of season 1, and they look like they're gonna like go into some relationship arc. So we end season 1 pretty much thinking 99% sure she's into Chris. We end season 2 just 100% sure she's into Chris. That is it. They're not a for sure thing at the end of season 2 at all by any stretch of the imagination. And I wanted them to get together since 2022. I mean, they had this beautiful moment at the end of season 1. He's waiting by her bed for 5 days straight. She wakes up, she acknowledges that. Tear goes down her eye. She reaches out her hand and he grabs it. I'm like, oh, she's really into him, right? And when they didn't start off season 2 together, I was okay with that. They referenced this boat, and we'll get into that. They referenced this boat, and I'm thinking, okay, so whatever happened on this boat, I want to see. But I'm thinking, okay, they're definitely gonna be a thing at the end of the season, and that's what I want. That's what you made us want, and you didn't pay that off. It's just so frustrating. I thought for sure after episode 6, when she had that great moment that her walls were finally down, we were gonna get no more resting bitch face. Everything was ready. Everything's perfect for her to lean in. And hell, I thought after episode 7, when she's like hugged up on him on the bike, I thought she was ready to lean in if they got out of that situation alive. And you mean to tell me at the end of this episode she's still rolling her eyes when he questions her about the boat? That is so unfulfilling, James Gunn. Come on. We have 10 minutes left in this season and she's still rolling her eyes. And the boat scene was underwhelming. I'm gonna just call it out. It was underwhelming. I thought at bare minimum they kissed. And I'll get into the music of it all later, but I thought at bare minimum they kissed or exchanged words of love or something of that nature. We find out in the first episode that alcohol was involved. She did something that she clearly regrets. She made some mistake. She made some some mistakes, what have you. I thought either, they had sex, or at the very least, they kissed, or she said some words, because, a drunken person's words are a sober person's thoughts sometimes, right? So I thought there was going to be a moment where it was undeniable. This is why my boy's so sprung. This is why he's so hung up on this. This is why he's about to just leave this whole world behind because of what she's not admitting to him and what she's not admitting to herself. So when I saw the scene, I was like, this is it. I mean, it was a beautiful scene. I'm not taking anything away from the scene. It was shot beautifully. It was a beautiful scene, but James Gunn is filling in a lot of emotional holes himself, and it's not translating to the audience because it's not realistic. Remember, she's like, I was drunk, I made a mistake. That is so plausible based off what happened. I was expecting to see something where I'm like, girl, stop fronting. Like, come on, you love me. Like that wasn't that. That could have, like, her explanation was extremely plausible, and it doesn't make sense that he wouldn't accept that. It makes more sense that he would try to get another date than be like, did the boat mean anything? Because her explanation was plausible. I expected her to have felt something. I expected her to get emotions. So I'm glad she did, of course, and I thought she did. I expected her to have emotions, but what happened was not realistic. Adults go out, they get drunk, they kiss, they make mistakes, they do things like that. And to have Peacemaker so fixated on that, it just didn't come across as authentic. And I think the fact that Harcourt is his wife is not helping this. I think he sees these scenes and he's feeling way more than the audience is feeling in these moments, and that is a problem. And I don't want to wait for like a Checkmate show or a Man of Tomorrow or Lantern scene where we tie off some of these things. Like the one-on-one moment with Vigilante and Chris, a moment like that needs to be in Peacemaker. The first time Harcourt says, I love you, or she reciprocates those same feelings, needs to be in Peacemaker, not in like Man of Tomorrow as some type of side plot. That makes no sense. It's so frustrating because you made us care about these characters and you're not even giving us these character moments. It's really frustrating. Moving on to Adebayo and the breakup scene, and Adebayo in general. Either you have this scene in the middle of the season and be done with it because you clearly didn't care about it enough to make it more of a plot point, or you carry it over to Checkmate. But don't throw it in the last episode of the series. It seems forced just to wrap up Adebayo's story, but you don't do that for the main title character. You leave Peacemaker on a cliffhanger and you choose to wrap up Adebayo's story in the series finale? James Gunn, if you have the choice to wrap up Adebayo's storyline in the series finale or the title character in the series finale, why are you choosing Adebayo? It makes no sense. It feels so rushed and it feels disrespectful to her character. I'm gonna break down how her character was done dirty this entire season. Adebayo supports everyone and she barely gets support herself. She's the shoulder to cry on for Vigilante and the only one to really get through to him on the show. She's checking in on Harcourt, she's a girl's girl, and I know she feels loved by Chris, and I know he does love her, but she gives way more to that relationship than he does because he is so broken. I mean, they all are, and she is the strongest one emotionally, but no one checks in on anything personal with Adebayo. She has only two things that are personal to her story. It is her wife that's not on good terms, and the fact that she's starting the security firm. And both of those plots were just put on the back burner so she can just support everybody else. And how does James Gunn respect Adebayo? He just throws her on Earth X to get chased by a bunch of white people. And then you have Judo Master being the one to save her and not even one of her own group. Luckily, Vigilante shows up at the end to help out Ads because he's a top lad, but it's just bad writing. I think they're being very disrespectful to her character. And while I'm on the topic of Earth X, you didn't even do that well or pay it off well. What was the lesson you were trying to drive home? If it's how bad their world is, you didn't show it. All you showed us, honestly, was how great, clean, and happy the world seems once you lock up everyone different from you. You are driving home the exact opposite point. And having one scene of Ads being chased by a bunch of people did not drive home how effed up the world is. After the big reveal of Earth X, we spend 30 minutes on that Earth and then we're out. Everyone thought that we're gonna get this big finale, but after the finale we got, now you want more from episode 7. You want them to go deeper in Earth X. It feels like as soon as we got there, we left. It just doesn't make sense writing wise why you would do that. Moving on to Rick Flag. What the heck is going on with him in this episode? His character took a complete 180. At a certain point, I thought he was being mind controlled, honestly. I've never seen this guy laugh like this. What is this? It honestly reminded me how I felt about Khaleesi in Game of Thrones when she turned into the Mad Queen over the course of like an episode. It felt so rushed. It didn't feel organic or believable. Not to mention all these scenes are happening at the same time. This music montage is going on. It's very bizarre. It's very bad writing. At 9:30 at night, it definitely felt like a fever dream. Moving on to the music, there is way too much music in this episode. We got 2 concerts and a couple music montages on top of that. It's too much. The Nelson concert was good, but not for a series finale. And yes, we all love Foxy Shazam's intro song, but you should have had one or the other, man. Come on. And if I have to listen to Effing My Heart in the A for 2.5 minutes again, James Gunn, I am going to flip shit. That is not witty. That is not clever. It's not erudite. right, it's just crass and vulgar for the sake of being crass and vulgar. It's like having Economos drop the hard C word. It felt forced. It felt like it didn't need to be there, and it wasn't funny. Leave that to Billy Butcher and Gen V and the boys. They do that crass and vulgar stuff with class. They do it way better. And all the hype for this finale came from James Gunn.
Next episode, I will say, is definitely, I can guarantee, it's the craziest, wildest, most insane and wonderful episode of Peacemaker we've ever produced.
Either James Gunn is clickbaiting or he really believes this episode was that insane and that wonderful. Regardless, that's concerning both ways. He knew people were complaining about the episode length because he's all over social media, and so what does he do? He hypes up the fact that this episode is going to be 57 minutes long. But if you were to tell people why it was 57 minutes long, no one would have been hyped. The expectations would have been low. Like, this week's episode is about to be longer because you're going to get Nelson live in concert. And you're gonna get Foxy Shazam live in concert. You're gonna go to Big Belly Burger twice. We're gonna break up with Kia and get divorced off screen. And surprise guest Rick Flag's gonna go insane while we all listen to Effing My Heart in the A for 3 minutes.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
James Gunn, are you making TV shows and movies for you and your friends, or are you making stuff for everyone? Your job is so important. Don't tell me you only spent a few weeks working on something. You are in charge of characters that are near and dear to people's hearts. Characters that have inspired them, characters that have got them through tough times. We need to know you are super serious about this. You're gonna need to have stuff that appeals to a wide range of people, not just you. Golly, if I was like a Captain America fan, I would have been eating good for years. If I was an Iron Man fan, I would have been eating good for years. Same thing with Spider-Man and Hulk. It is so frustrating. Why can't DC have this same success? I mean, my favorite superhero is The Flash. I mean, look at my profile picture. But the Flash movie was terrible. I mean, people are gonna freaking pass away before they ever see their characters done right on screen at this point. Just make the animated movies into live action. Don't reinvent the wheel. That's it. You know, there's a scene from the Step Brothers movie that immediately came to mind when I watched this finale. You guys probably know where I'm going with this. You probably already know the scene I'm talking about. So let's just play the clip.
I'm just looking to hire guys that I don't mind hanging out with for like 12 hours a day. You guys seem like cool guys. You got hair similar to mine. You wear tuxedos to the interview. That's funny. It's ironic. I get that. You're kind of underplaying the whole formality of it. I think that's funny as hell. So let's do this. You know, you guys are hired. You're in, you know, unless you're like the weirdest guys ever and I don't see it.
The audience is Seth Rogen, James Gunn, or the Step Brothers. They do something weird, like, I don't know, questionable music choices. And then,
Okay, now the tuxedos seem kind of fucked up.
hey, if you're enjoying the video so far, smash that subscribe button. This is the best account under 1,000 subs. There is just no reason that we all woke up in a world on Friday where the vast majority of comments were negative. How are we back here again this soon? That should make all DC fans worry. That should make all DC fans sad. And the fact that you didn't pay off the emotional moments in a way that felt worth the hype, coupled with no Easter eggs, no cameos, or action, felt lackluster. I guess the Salvation name drop was an Easter egg, but we all know that wasn't meant to be the hype part of this episode. The hype part was supposed to be the kiss. It was supposed to be the intervention scene because Peacemaker reminds him of his dad. All would have been forgiven if you gave me the bro moment between Chris and Vigilante that I wanted. I am not gonna let that go. It deserves to be in Peacemaker. And if you had any action or gave us the character moments we all wanted, the internet would have exploded in a positive way, period, point blank. And all the people saying Marvel ruined people's minds and they don't have the patience anymore, and if you expected something more, then you somehow lack intelligence, that's just BS. And you're all being hypocrites because these are the same people in 2008 through 2019 who loved every second of sitting in a movie theater after the credits, judging people walking by because, oh, they're not in the know or whatever, they don't know what they're missing. It was like a cultural event to sit in the movie theaters after the credits. And what did Marvel do? They rewarded your goddamn time. They gave you a good end credit scene, something that was easily recognizable, that led right into the next project. And no one was saying that Marvel was like dangling keys in people's face like they say. No, everyone was just in their pants when they saw Thor's hammer and when Iron Man's appearing in the Hulk, or Samuel L. Jackson's dropping Avengers like just in dialogue, and everyone's going crazy. So don't say that like, oh, like if James Gunn were to do that, that would be like bad or something. If James Gunn had a clear and obvious Brainiac tease, everyone would have loved it. If they opened up a door in the QUC and we saw like Metron or something, like, already looking at the door as if he was expecting us, and he says something like, you know, now's not the time, and then he shuts the door and now it's locked. That would have been so cool. Everyone would have been in James Gunn's comment saying James Gunn's cooking and all these other things. Like, that's what sucks about this. The world was so ready to champion DC. The world was so ready to say James Gunn's cooking and DC's on top, and everyone had their thumbnails made, everyone had their freaking titles made, and then James Gunn does this. It was the easiest lob in history, and he chooses to make you sit through his own self-indulgent stuff. It doesn't make sense. I hate when people try to force DC to be different just for different sake. All it does is make them less money, worse Rotten Tomato scores, and inconsistent audience scores. Don't just try to be Marvel, but don't make a conscious effort to 180 Marvel, because clearly they did some things right. After everything I just said, I am still really hopeful for the DC universe. I'm still very excited about Lanterns, clearly. I think Aaron Pierce is up next. Just please do not ruin his career. This next project is not written or directed by James Gunn, so I mean, it really needs to be a success. But I am very excited about the future of DC. I still think there's plenty of good TV shows and good movies on the way. But if I didn't talk about some of these obvious flaws, I'm not doing my job to you guys. I mean, I say job, I'm not even making money off this. Hey, smash that subscribe button, you guys. And I know you guys are gonna gaslight me in the comments. Just be gentle. I'm just a guy giving my opinion, and I do think the finale was lackluster, left a lot to be desired. Good episode, bad series finale. Objectively speaking, it was bad as a series finale. So be on the lookout for my Tron Ares movie review. All the people who want to see it, I'm sure, have seen it by now. Gen V season 2 is finishing up, so be on the lookout for more Gen V videos. I think you guys really like those videos. Those have been really fun to make. Click here to spam more of my content, and as always, thank you for inviting me into your home, and thank you for joining me in mine. I will see you guys in the next video.